Well, happy Easter, and we are sitting here on Easter morning. And this particular week has been a very interesting week because people had a tendency to focus in on the logic problems or the logic errors. And I call those the 1 + 1 = 3 errors. And it was a very good discussion where that's concerned. And this week, as we go into it, this is where you're going to start going, okay, what do we do about those errors? And this is where we get into arrays and collections and trying to apply a lot of the problem-solving techniques and trying to adopt some of those things. As you go through, remember that you have to develop good variable naming techniques. For instance, if there's a string that contains names, it's str names. If there's an integer that contains an age, it's int age. If it's a text box that people are used to input their name, it might be txt name input. If there's a label that's supposed to label that, it might be lbl name input. And the reason for that is there are parts in Visual Basic where you're able to use a down drop arrow, and this is the reason I've always thought of it. When you hit the down drop arrow, you get a list of all the objects and different things you can utilize. If you just name your things name, if you just name your things, or even A or B, as some people tend to do when they start, the problem is when you see it on that list, you can't tell what the object is nor the data that it contains. And you might think, oh yeah, I know what that is. But if you walk away for 6 months and come back to it, you have no idea. You'll forget. So that would be the first one. The second one is make sure that you start putting in comments. There's not a lot of comments on the rubric. The class was created to make sure all our Visual Basic classes are the same by other people, and that's why you run into some of the errors that I report and things along those lines. But there's nothing to support on the grading rubric, or it's sporadic as far as comments. You do want to try to include comments. I know that it seems kind of cumbersome. I know that it seems of an academic endeavor. But I've taught classes before. You get to that final project. People aren't in the habit of making comments. They go away from part of their final project. They come back to it. And they're like, what have I done? Well, your comments are there for other programmers or even yourself to know what you've actually done. And without them, you're clueless. Okay? So anyway, so take a look at what it is and take a look at what's going on during the week and continue to have very, very good discussions. I continue to have, I get things in that I cannot run, and I talk to you, I send out emails. Some people have defaulted to just making videos. That's great because it's very easy for me to see, and I've actually seen this in a few, where a student has brought up the rubric, and then they start to walk through their program according to the rubric, and they get halfway through, and they're like, oh, I didn't do that. And then they pause it, and then they fix it, and then they demonstrate that. And that's all you're doing is earning yourself points. And that's amazing. And I really, really like that. There was some things, or another thing to kind of think about as you go through. Text boxes are there to get input. Labels are there to show but not interact with. So there was one program that had 2 text boxes used to give feedback to the user, but they were locked out as read-only and different things along those lines. If you have stuff that you're giving input back to the user, just make them labels. And the labels will automatically just be there. They'll show you what it is. They'll be shut down so you can't mess with it. And, that's kind of my mode of thought, because you could put a text box in it, but then you have to set it read only and you have to do a bunch of other stuff with it. So either way, it's been a very good week. I've really liked the discussions. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing what you have to see. And once again, happy Easter. Thank you.